Okay. Hello again, everyone. Thank you for joining. Thank you very much for joining us today. My name is Jakub Ratajczak. I'm working at RTB House, and I'm managing the Asia Pacific region since the very beginning of our presence in this region. Today, we would like to present you the webinar on the situation beyond cookies. So our approach to the cookieless world. We spent a lot of time preparing for this new reality, and we know this is an important aspect. This is an important consideration for many marketers. On the other hand, I think there's not so many vendors who can actually answer these questions and worries. We think that what we have to say might be interesting. So hopefully you will think the same. We'll try to go quickly through this presentation. We'll try to keep it shorter than 1 hour. Unfortunately, due to the large number of participants, we cannot really hold a Q&A session during this webinar. However, there will be an opportunity to discuss with us in all and any questions you may have or comments during the one-to-one follow-up sessions that we will be setting up after the webinar. All right, so without waiting any further, let's begin. Very, very briefly, who we are. We are a company. We are at the company from Europe. We've been founded in 2012. We work with globally with biggest brands, and we're trusted also by the large agencies throughout the world. We serve over 70 markets currently out of 30 locations. For those of you who know us, you would know that we mention deep learning, and we have deep learning at the heart of what we're doing. Which is important for this webinar as well. We will cover this later on, why deep learning is also a technology that will play an important role in the cookieless environment. We think we're quite well positioned to discuss the topic and to present our approach, because we've been shaping this landscape since the very beginning. So since the announcement from Google in early 2020, we've been very much involved. We had our CTO himself involved in the work, along with 25 technical experts from our business. We've been participating in W3 cookie community since its creation, including actually physically visiting New York to sit the meetings there when it was still possible, when the meetings were still held in a face-to-face manner. We've been trying to contribute as much as we could to this effort and to these discussions, being a company operating under GDPR for quite some time. We've also always tried to, be proactive and do not really, fight the change, but actually co-shape the change. As a result, we will discuss details later, but just to mention in the beginning, our proposals were implemented by Google in their final proposal in their entirety. So we're quite well prepared for this change. What does the change mean for the advertisers, agencies and marketers, brands? These are the three questions we would like to think about while presenting this webinar, and also suggest some answers to them later. So after the change, it is going to be important to know which identity methods and DSPs you should invest in, you should work with, in order to reach the full scale of your campaigns in the new environment. How to achieve the campaign objectives while the different cookieless methods may deliver different results and differ in scale of the reach. And well, finally, probably the most important question, or the most pressing question: can you actually even preserve the current performance and the current personalization in the new group-based targeting scenario without losing on scale? So today's agenda again. Briefly, Google withdrawal from third-party cookies and why it happened and what are the implications. And secondly, how RTB House is positioned to help you navigate this change in the new environment. So targeting and personalization and reporting is a broad topic. There's a lot of different angles to that topic. In this webinar, we would like to focus on web and cookies. So we will not be talking about apps. We will not be talking about IDFA. We'll not be talking about closed ecosystems. So this will be primarily dedicated to the web and cookies, and especially Google Turtledove proposal. So no news to anyone. Google has decided to withdraw from third-party cookies. The reasons are more or less obvious, probably. Of course, there is a rising need from the users, or rising pressure from the users to respect their privacy and provide transparent and control over how the data is used. There is also an increased scrutiny and pressure from the regulators, especially on Google and dominant players in the marketing industry. There is also competitive pressures. Other competing browsers competing with Chrome, like Safari, Firefox, or Edge, has already limited their third-party tracking using cookies. What is very different from their approach and Google's approach is they did not provide any replacement. Google is providing a replacement. So if there wasn't a replacement, we all know what that would mean. The personalization of marketing would be very difficult, if not impossible. And without personalization, without providing personalization of marketing communication, according to different studies, the efficiency of advertising would drop by 50 to 60%, and also publisher revenue will decrease significantly, between 50 or 70%, according to different studies. So that would not be good for anyone, including the consumers, I believe, because obviously less efficient advertising means also less relevant advertising, and lower publisher revenue means lower quality content, or more less accessible content. So this is not something that we would like to see, and this is not something that Google would like to see as evolution of internet, and therefore they have started this effort early on to actually prepare for this change without these dramatic consequences. So because we're preparing ahead of times, there are significant benefits associated with this situation. There is significant benefits in the upgrading the technology that we're using. One of the benefits is the chance to create a long-term solution that will stay with us for quite some time. So cookies were with us for more or less 20 years, I believe. Now the technology will change. There will be a shift in technology, but there is a opportunity to create this new environment and new technology that will be with us, and we will use it for the years to come. It actually provides a chance for really guaranteeing privacy, lower the risk of personal data leakages, which is also actually good from consumer perspective, but also from brand's perspective and advertisers' perspective. The time allocated to the preparation of the change allows for extensive test procedures, so it's definitely safer in this way. And this way we can also make sure that the impact on transparent entities is limited. There are definitely challenges associated with this change, and this is the inevitable investment. We are 1.5 years or more deep in this investment, including, as I said, 25 top experts from our company participating actively in creating this solution. Right? So we're well advanced in this investment in terms of time, people, and also money. For some players in the industry, this change would require changes or reconstruction of their infrastructure. That is definitely a challenge. And if media was not fragmented enough, this change will increase the complexity and fragmentation of available solutions. So navigating through this will be probably even more complex and complicated when compared to the current state. Yeah, the operational difficulty operating campaigns with the variety of cookieless methods can also be a significant challenge. But we will try to also provide you with some help how to navigate this change, and sharing our expert knowledge from our private ads team, who is a creator of this content and who is also a large contributor to the actual change and evolution of Google Turtledove concept. So a brief recap. We think we can distinguish various methods of personalization of advertising after cookies, and these 5 methods can be split into 3 distinctive groups. So one group is identity-based, no identity, which is purely contextual targeting, and the group-based targeting proposed by Google. Within identity-based, there is different options beneath. Publishers' own identifiers, public industry consortia, or data clean rooms, which then divide further into actually some specific solutions. We at RTB House, we are ready to work across all of these methods. So we can all work with identity-based solutions, like well, we'll mention them later. We are fully ready. We're fully ready to work, and we have our own solution for context-based targeting. And we obviously, which is the main topic of today's webinar, we are very well prepared for the group-based advertising after the final implementation of the Turtledove and Google's Privacy Sandbox concept. So just a brief recap again: publishers' own identifiers and data. These are methods that identify users based on publisher first-party data. So basically login data or email address that users use within a publisher asset. Industry consortia identifiers. These are methods based on encrypted, authenticated consumer data that enables identification of an individual users between the publishers, or between different domains or different devices. Data clean rooms are methods allowing publishers and advertisers to run campaigns and blend the data between parties, still maintaining the privacy friendly environment. Pure contextual targeting. There is no identity needed or required or available for this targeting. These are methods providing context-only targeting. Yeah, as I said, without any identification of the actual user. And finally, group-based advertising. Chrome's Privacy Sandbox that allows ads personalization without identification of an individual, but focusing on groups of individuals and with actually locally executed bidding and locally executed decision making on advertising finally presented. So these different methods have obviously different scopes and different characteristics. They would differ in availability of third-party data, and perhaps most importantly, there's the scale of their reach, the number of potential consumers that could be reached using them. And we believe that Google Google proposal is one of the broadest available on the market, which still allows for the use of historical behavioral data of users, which pure contextual targeting, which is probably has the broadest application, doesn't allow for. So Google Privacy Sandbox addresses all stages of the purchasing funnel. So it is a solution, or there exists a solution within Privacy Sandbox. There is solutions for all the stages of the funnel. So on the left-hand side of the slide, you can see behavioral targeting and retargeting, and this is addressed by the proposal called Fledge. This allows for targeting on existing and interested customers, which was currently handled in the current world is handled by retargeting pixels. The proposal also allows targeting of new audience, potential and unknown yet customers, which would currently be handled by third-party data sets, publisher first-party data, and lookalike models. And the proposal from Google, Google Privacy Sandbox, is called Flock. We'll discuss details of these proposals in a moment. So Fledge. Fledge is based on modeled third-party data. As we discussed, it addresses retargeting, behavioral, contextual, and demographic targeting. It allows for holding the auction on the user's device. It allows for on-device frequency capping and also provides for reporting. Fledge is built for group-level advertising, and it allows to take into consideration the historical events. As mentioned before, this Fledge proposal from Google, which is then further development from the Turtledove concept, includes our extensions, proposed extensions in their entirety. To illustrate this sentence, the last sentence, in time, the announcement from Google came in January 2020, that the cookies will be removed starting from 2022, and Google has invited the industry to comment and to cooperate with them in creating the final solution, which their initial proposal called Turtledove was presented for comments and for further enhancement and development by the members of the W3C community. So within 2020, we've been working on different proposals. The industry was working on different proposals, and these dots here represent the proposals that have been put forward within W3C community. And you can see there's only 6 or 7 dots here, which represents the number of proposals that the industry has put forward. So the big blue dot on the left-hand side represents the Turtledove announcements. The smaller dots, more to the right, represent the industry-generated extensions or proposals or developments to this concept. And then finally, in January 2021, further to the right on the slide, you can see that the Turtledove concept has been extended, and the blue dot is now larger because it includes the proposals from the industry. And these 2 orange dots are 2 proposals from RTB House, 2 out of 7 generated at all. These 2 are fully and completely implemented within the final concept of Fledge. So what are those? These two concepts that we put forward. We call them product level Turtledove and outcome based Turtledove. So the main problem in group-based targeting, well, maybe one of the very big problems in a group-based targeting is how do you define the groups? How do you actually allocate users to these groups? So the product level Turtledoves answers this question, and it bases the allocation of individual users to a group based on the products that they have expressed interest in. So this allows us to maintain the personalized user experience in terms of product recommendations. It allows also to maintain the capacity of dynamic creative optimization. Even though we cannot target one-to-one, we cannot personalize one-to-one, we can personalize to the group sharing the same or similar, very similar characteristics in terms of interest in products, in specific products. And when we were running the test, our internal test, compared to the current cookie-based solution, with the PLTD, product level Turtledove, maintained almost 95% of advertising efficacy, which we thought is a great outcome. But we were thinking further, and we started to think about another way to split users into these interest groups, and we came up with outcome-based Turtledove, which where users are allocated to groups. We are taking into consideration the probability of their reaction to advertising. So how likely are they to perform a certain action while being presented with the advertising? So this is the main question that our deep learning algorithm answers right now, and the same functionality was used to actually define those groups. This is a concept which is very useful in efficient budget allocations, or in the environment when we are bound to very strict efficiency KPIs like cost per order, cost per sale, return on ad spend, and we cannot exceed these goals. Then this outcome-based Turtledove would come very handy. And actually, in our internal tests, we achieved quite amazing result in terms of the efficacy of advertising maintained. It was pretty much the same. So it was actually almost identical compared to the cookie-based method. And again, both of these approaches are fully implemented in Fledge, and RTB House authored them. So we are, I think, best placed to guide you through how that works. We also even designed a small experiment that may help everyone to understand how Fledges are currently working in practice. So you can go through this. I would like to ask you not to do it now, but after the webinar, you can obviously go and see for yourself. I think it probably is more exciting for developers than for the actual advertisers. But this was also one of the contributions we made to the W3C community. We've been the only company that provided this working simulation of a Turtledove concept in practice. All right, so that's it. That was a Fledge, which addresses group-based targeting, retargeting, and lower parts of the funnel. Now we're moving towards the description of the other part, which we discussed, that Google Privacy Sandbox consists of. And this is the upper funnel solution, which is called Flock, Federated Learning of Cohorts. This is meant to allow for interest-based targeting. It enables display of ads to a cohort of potentially interested users based on their historical browsing history. That allows also for lookalike modeling and in a sense behavioral advertising to the users that are unknown to the brand or had no prior relationship to the brand. So there are three important steps. The browser of the user stores their cross-site browsing history, which includes all the websites participating in the Flock calculation. The browser then adds a user to a cohort of over 1,000 users, which has the most similar browsing behavior. So as you imagine, there may be thousands of different user cohorts, right? There's millions and billions probably of users, internet users globally. So you can imagine how many of those cohorts can be created. When what will be delivered to the browser or to us as marketers is the number identifier of the cohort. So browsers will only share a flock ID. So there's a few key challenges related to this. The user is not a permanent member of the given flock. So you can get assigned to a certain flock, a certain cohort of users, but then you can change your behavior and you can move from one flock to the other. So these flocks will not be stable, they will constantly fluctuate. So there will be tens of thousands of them and they will still fluctuate, which is quite a big algorithmic challenge. At one time, user can be assigned to you can change the flock, the cohort you're assigned to over time because of the change of your online browsing behavior. At one time, you can be the member of only one flock. So the key challenge is how to maximize the campaign performance and scale when flock-based audiences change constantly. And what is more, the only information that you're getting is the actual flock ID. So that is why Google says that what we will need in the new environment is very powerful algorithms. And this is true because the complexity of the question will be very big. And recognizing which cohort of users could actually be potentially interested in the brand's offering will be complicated, will be more complicated than it is right now in the various segmentation models. So in practice, if an advertiser, as presented here in this slide, if an advertiser plans a campaign targeting audience interested in red cocktail dresses, the flock, the concept, will provide tens of thousands of potentially relevant user cohorts. And only the other flock ID will be provided. So we'll get a number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The vendor, it will be up to the vendor's algorithm to analyze the cohorts, looking for the behavioral match, and choose the cohorts to which we should advertise. We can choose more than one cohort, but we cannot choose all of them. So there definitely a very significant decision-making moment here. The more powerful the algorithm, the more precise the selection. The more precise, the better the modeling of the correlation or impact between the past behavior within a cohort and the future behavior required by the brand. The more powerful the algorithm, the better the decision, the closest the link. And this will be the decisions to be made and to optimize. So the algorithm needs to make them and also need to observe the performance of the campaign in order to dynamically optimize this decision and targeting of different flocks. So algorithms will need to be stronger, will need to become even stronger than now, and will differentiate even more than in a cookie-based targeting. That is so it looks simple, probably. However, the whole ad needs to be decided and targeted based on just an ID of a cohort that the user is in. So RTB House in this case would receive a cohort ID, in this example 37849. We would have to recognize, our deep learning algorithm needs to recognize that this flock ID consists of users who may be interested in the advertiser's brand, need to buy an added response, and also decide the best creative match. Right? So it is in a sense a very similar decision to the Fledge decisions, only based on a slightly different data, and actually probably a little bit more difficult decision. We need to decide what kind of what kind of products to promote to the user. So it's a recommendation, and we also need to buy the ad. So we need to evaluate the outcome, how likely is to achieve the desired outcome after presenting the ad to the user, based only on the cohort ID. So, Privacy Sandbox again. The current state versus the future state when 2022, when cookieless world will become a reality. Contextual targeting will basically stay the same. There will be it will not be really affected. Fledge may allow for some additional possibilities, but largely the contextual targeting will be not affected by the change. Retargeting, there will be a change. One-to-one retargeting possibilities, one-to-one targeting of users based on third-party data using pixels will not be available. What will be available is interest group-based targeting using first-party data. And within that, there are two proposals from RTB House, product level Turtledove and outcome-based Turtledove, which allow to maintain the efficacy of the previous solution. So there will be a change in technology, there will be a change in the way, but hopefully there will not be such a big change to the efficiency of advertising. This will be preserved. Behavioral and demographic targeting, this will be maintained in terms of publishers' first-party audiences. However, we believe that the use of DMPs and CDPs might be restricted, might be more difficult due to privacy concerns. Web browsing-based targeting. So this is a FLoC concept. Currently, it is only available via the Google Ad Stack, and this is probably one of the biggest changes, or one of the very important changes for us. Is FLoC data will now be accessible to all vendors, and the brands are able to use various algorithms for the FLoC interpretation. This is also a very positive change in a way. So the Google is not the only solution out there, and Google Privacy Sandbox will not be the only solution. As we said, there are other identity-based solutions or identity-based solutions, no contextual solutions apart from Google Turtledove. And we, as RTB House, we are ready to work with all of them. We have our own contextual targeting capacity. We process, we are able to process natural language. I think 27 different languages at this moment we're able to process in order to provide contextual targeting. We are also able to work with all identity-based solutions available on the market. So how we can help you navigate? So we discussed a little bit of the knowledge we are able to share about our experiences within W3C community. Now the second part of what we can provide, how we can contribute, is our deep learning AI as a key solution to overcome these challenges. So I promised I will say I'll say a little bit more about deep learning. For those of you who know us, they have heard it probably us saying deep learning many times. So just one more time, what it is. Deep learning is the newest subset of artificial intelligence research. So if you think of artificial intelligence, it is actually any computer technique that enables machines to mimic human behavior. machine learning is a technology that enables machine to improve over time with experiences. It is based on pre-programmed rules and patterns, though, which limits the capacity of the learning. So machine learning was technology that was able to beat Garry Kasparov in 1997 in a chess game, but was not still for a long time able to beat another human master in a different board game, Go game, which is more complicated than chess, but still is a board game. Now, deep learning is able to do that and beyond. So deep learning is a technology that is not limited by any pre-programmed rules. And this is surprisingly powerful, but this is exactly how human brain learns. This is exactly how a child would learn to cycle. It just learns through experiences with no pre-programmed rules and patterns. And that allows for much broader applications and actually much deeper learning, because you're not bound to whatever your programmer has thought of. So deep learning is the technology that drives driverless cars, that operates and manages the Boston Dynamics robots, the robots that can run, pivot, throw things, catch things. These are all far too complicated questions for the machine learning algorithms. One fun fact about deep learning: while you have been reading this sentence, RTB House Deep Learning has executed around 240 trillion operations and calculations to improve our marketing campaigns. If a human were to do the same thing, it would take them 7 million years, assuming that they're able to do the math. So again, how can deep learning help to overcome this increasing complexity? So the questions with which we started was in which identity methods and DSPs you should invest in order to reach a full scale of the campaign in the cookieless world. We are a one-stop shop in a sense. We have a capacity to work with all of the solutions. We have also contributed and co-authored one of the most comprehensive solutions in the market, and most broadly providing for most broad reach, which is Google Turtledove and Privacy Sandbox. Oops, sorry. So how to achieve campaigns, how to keep, maintain and achieve campaigns objectives when we're using different cookieless methods. Our technologies, and especially the extensions provided to or authored and written by RTB House to the Privacy Sandbox, virtually ensures the effective budget allocations across all cookieless methods. We can operate them all, including the broader one. So can you preserve the current campaign's performance and personalization in a group-based programming without decreasing scale? The answer is definitely yes. In a group-based targeting, there may be some minor decrease in the quality of the product recommendations, because we're not able to target individual users. However, these two proposals that we put forward allow us to really maintain the efficiency of our advertising without any decrease in scale, potentially even maybe increasing the scale with the flock concept. The deep learning algorithm will provide a competitive advantage, significant advantage over other solutions because of the complexity of the task. So what we can provide is all identity methods with providing meaningful scale in one package, access to Privacy Sandbox and multiple other ID methods through RTB House combined into one process. holistic identity strategy, ensuring the maximum potential scale without being worried about access to inventory, and privacy preserving solutions. The technology is really tested. The technology has been tested throughout the years and thousands of campaigns that we've been running, and the deep learning has been proven to give a true advantage over the machine learning algorithms or human operated optimization. So what's going to happen next? I hope that this was useful. We will follow up, as I said in the beginning, individually with all of the participants of today's webinar in order to discuss any comments, questions that you might still have. So please accept our invitation to the discussion and let us understand your feedback about the webinar, and also let us understand how we can help you in the future in preparing for the cookieless reality. Thank you very much. Thank you for your presence. Hopefully, again, it was useful. It is a lot of content. We've been working on the concept for 1.5 years. We tried to summarize what we know and hopefully delivered it in a comprehensive manner and within the time limits. So thank you very much again for your time this afternoon, and hopefully see you soon on during the one-to-one follow-up meetings. Thank you very much.